The Aussie dollar plummets. Are we facing a financial catastrophe? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heiser here and welcome to another episode. Grab your cup of hashtag not sponsored recession ready instant coffee and let's have a look at this article. It's about, well, it claims that the dollar is plummeting, the Australian dollar is plummeting and we're potentially facing a financial crisis. Now at the moment, there's a lot of fear out there, there's a lot of concern out there. Is this another article that is catastrophizing? Is it another article that's pushing forward the narrative of economic doom and gloom? As a YouTuber, that's my bread and butter and we have to look at that because there's a lot out there, guys, and well. So, the Aussie dollar is plummets is a financial crisis looming. Now, there are 3 points in this article that I think we should have a look at. And if we scroll down here, let's use the pen mode. There we go. So, the number one is geopolitical tensions weigh on the Aussie dollar. One of the key factors contributing to the fall in the dollar is the ongoing trade conflict between the United States and China. Okay, the second one. Slowing global growth, a worrying trend for the Aussie dollar. So, the US-China trade war isn't the only cloud hanging over the Aussie dollar. There are growing fears of a global economic slowdown that's pushing the Aussie lower, reports FX Street. Okay, now remember this, the fear of the global slowdown, we've always hear that all the time. And, geopolitical tensions, yeah, because we've got, Trumpy in charge of the US. He's finding peaceful solutions to a lot of problems around the world, but he's not, not the favorite, is he? So, an uncertainty surrounding global growth, exacerbated by the US government shutdown. I think that's more an internal politics of the internal issue for the US, but it does have global ramifications. Okay, and there's, what could the Reserve Bank do, and the silver lining to all of this. But here, let's have a look at a few things here. This here is from Trading Economics, guys. Very useful website. Okay, what's the Aussie dollar to US exchange rate right now? 64.89 cents, and it's moved up and down in the last year. So this article was written, yesterday? The Aussie dollar plummets. What are we looking at there? 65 cents down to 64? What about if we go... Let's go 6 months. Oh yeah, that chart looks a bit more drastic. Oh, look at that. It's down from 66 cents down to 64. That's 2 cents lower. 2 cents lower. Many people use the Aussie dollar as a barometer for the Chinese economy because we're so tied together and we're so dependent on the Chinese economy. So if they stop exporting goods and services around the world, you're going to feel it here in Australia. We look at 1 month. Okay. Over the month, we're down. It's definitely going down. A week. There you go, it's going down. If we compare it to gold, it's looking even worse. And Bitcoin, oh boy. There you go, over the day, it's that. But what can we get? 10-year data? Okay, yeah, we're a bit lower than when we were, but we're nowhere near the levels of 2020 when it really crashed. And, we're nowhere near the low at 2025. I remember when the dollar breached $1, remember that? That was fantastic. So... yeah, there we go. The Aussie dollar plummets. Is a financial crisis looming? We'll have to see. We need something more drastic than this. Okay? We need something more drastic than this movement. This here is a big movement. 2020 is a big movement. 2022 is a big movement. Sure, it's come down since 24, but it's nearly halfway back up there. So, yeah. And some other news that's just appeared. I saw it on the cover of Trading Economics. Aussie unemployment rate. Australia's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate rose to 4.5% in September, above both August's upwardly revised figures and consensus of 4.3%. It marked the highest jobless rate since November 2021, as the number of unemployed people increased by 33,900, bringing the total to 684,000. So this is probably a more concerning figure here to keep in mind. And let's zoom out to get a bit of a bigger perspective here. Okay, so yeah, unemployment rate since 2022, 3.5%. We're now getting at 4.5%. It's starting to climb. We're trending up. We're trending up. Now, the definition of a recession are 2 periods of negative GDP growth, or 2 quarters of GDP growth. There are a few other methods that people used to define a recession, but that's the standard one here. Let's have a look there. How are we going here? Where's Australia's GDP? Right now we're sitting at 1.7. What about here we go, GDP growth rate. We'll bring that up here. We can see 2 quarters. The last quarter was 0.6%. We still had growth. 0.3. The quarter before that 0.6, 0.3, 0.1, 0.2. These are pretty flat numbers. Now let's see. Let's go a bit further out to 5 years. We can see some actual negative numbers here. We go to 10 years. We can see the last recession we had was the pandemic recession. There we go, because we had 2 quarters of negative growth, 0.1, 0.68. So we're still, this ain't looking that exciting, but if we go further back, what were we here? 1%, 0.6, 0.96. Yeah, we're kind of keeping going. If we look at this one, do they have GDP? Here we go, GDP growth rates per capita. These are the ones you want to look at. The gross domestic product per capita in Australia was last recorded at $60,082 US dollars in 2024, when adjusted by purchasing power parity. That's interesting. GDP per capita, when adjusted by PPP, is equivalent to 338% of the world's average. So if we bear that in mind, we're definitely above average here in Australia. Okay, and this is why when I'm discussing property prices and people are pissed off at how expensive it is, and people don't believe me when I say, sure, housing is really expensive, but that's because Australia isn't like it was in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s or the 50s. You need 2 people to work in a household. We should compare housing prices to household income, because that's how it's always been traditionally measured. Now you need 2 people here in this country. And it's because people are still going to come here. They're going to come here no matter what. Okay? Our GDP PPP is much higher than other parts in the world. So let's have a look. I want to go GDP per capita, because this is the interesting one. What can we go for? 10 years? Yeah, it's not that exciting a chart. The growth rate, I want the per capita growth rate. They don't have it on this, but I've calculated it before, and that's the big issue. That's where you look at it, and it's coming into recession. So let's have a bit of a reflection on this one in the chat. So guys, it looks like once again we've got another article which is catastrophizing the dollar. I can't see it plummeting. It's not that exciting what's happened. You want a good 20-30% fall. You want the market to have to intervene. You want them to put the stop losses in and shut down the whole market for a day for it to get exciting. Is Australia facing a financial crisis? We're just a little tiny boat floating along in the world economy. I think the best you can do is sort your own house. Get yourself prepared. Do what you need to do. And given the demo and age of most of the viewers of this channel, I guarantee most people are doing that. So what do you think, guys? Do you think that's a plummet in the Aussie dollar? Is a crisis looming? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.